Hello everyone! Welcome sa ating panibagong video lesson about statistics at pag-uusapan natin ngayon ang sampling techniques. Now, ano nga ba itong sampling techniques? When we say sampling techniques, it talks about the methods on how to get the sample from the population. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga proseso kung paano natin kunin itong sample galing sa population. Okay, define muna natin sila. When we say population, it refers to the entire group that is under study or investigation. Ibig sabihin, ito yung kabuuan ng grupo na pagkukukunan natin ng mga impormasyon para sa ating study or investigation. Halimbawa, isang city, isang school, or isang barangay. Now, if the population refers to the entire group, itong sample naman is a subset taken from a population or it contains a few members of the population. Ibig sabihin, itong sample, kumuha lang tayo ng iilan galing sa population. Now, bakit nga ba natin kailangang kunin itong sample? The purpose of getting the sample is to represent the characteristics and traits of the population. Ibig sabihin, whatever will be the result of the investigation or whatever will be the result of the study about the sample, it will represent to the whole population. In the other words, sample is a representation of the population where one hopes to draw valid conclusions from about the population. Again, do not forget, sample is a representation of the whole population. Kaya pwede nating maitanong, Sir, bakit pa natin kailangang kumuha ng sample? Okay, to explain that, let's have an example. You are conducting a research study in a certain city, and that city has a population of 30,000 residents. Now, kapag isinama mo yung buong population sa inyong study, kapag isinama mo yung buong 30,000 residents sa inyong study, it will take you a lot of effort. Not just the effort, but also the time and the money. In the other words, it will take you a lot of resources. Kasi nga, imagine, you are going to conduct a survey on that 30,000 residents as your population. At kapag meron kang questionnaire, you are going to print 30,000 questionnaires. So, kaya? Di ba mas mahihirapan ka? Kaya dahil sa mga dahilan na yan, kailangan natin kunin itong sample to get a data, to get an information that will represent to the entire population. Isa pang bagay bago tayo tumuloy sa ating discussion, importante na tamang sampling technique ang ating gagamitin base sa study na gagawin natin. Okay? So this time, let's discuss how to get the sample. Now, sample is taken by either random or non-random sampling techniques. So let's differentiate ano nga ba ang pinagkaiba ni random at saka ni non-random sampling technique. Let's start. When we say random sampling, each sample point has an equal chance of being selected to be part of the sample. Ibig sabihin, kahit nasa dulo ka pa ng barangay, kahit sino ka pa, kahit nasaan ka pa, basta't parte ka ng population, you have an equal chance. May chance kang mapabilang sa sample. On the other hand, non-random sampling, not every member of the population has the equal chance of being selected. Ibig sabihin, hindi lahat ng membro mabigyan ng chance ang mapabilang sa sample. And non-random sampling is used when there is no system in selecting the sample. Wala itong pina-follow na order na system na process. And lastly, this is often used by the researchers to elicit and gather quick responses for questions which do not require confidentiality. And now, let us proceed on the 4 random sampling techniques. First, we have the lottery. When we say lottery, ito yung pinaka-basic na pagkuha ng sample galing sa population. It is sometimes called fishbowl method. Kasi pwede natin gamitin yung bunutan, pwede mong ilagay yung pangalan ng members ng population sa isang fishbowl, tapos bubunutin mo para makasama dun sa study natin. Itong lottery ay applicable lang kapag medyo maliit ang ating population. This is it for the first random sampling technique, the lottery. Wala talaga tayong pattern na involved. Hahayaan lang natin yung chance na mag-take control. Kaya, isang advantage ng lottery is that yung process ng pagkuha ng respondents will become fair and unbiased kasi walang control si researcher. And now, let us proceed to the second random sampling technique. We have the systematic sampling. When we say systematic sampling, from the name itself, systematic, it has something to do with pattern or system. Kumbaga, sa technique na to, may proseso ng involved. And example of process para sa systematic sampling ay pwede nating kunin ang student numbers ng lahat ng students kapag our study is focusing on the school matters. Tapos, pwede kang mag-randomize or pumili from 0 to 9. Kapag napili mo yung 4, lahat ng students na may student number na nagtatapos ng 4, halimbawa 4, 14, 24, 34, 44, 54, and so on, sila yung mga isasama mo sa sample to be your respondents in your study. Ibig sabihin, may randomization na pero hindi yung buong population ang isasama para sa iyong study. Isa lang yan sa mga pattern ng systematic sampling. Pwede rin naman na iyong kunin yung mga student numbers na divisible by 5. Example, 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. Kaya, when it comes to systematic sampling, there can be many patterns involved. Depende lang yon sa laki ng population tsaka sa number of samples na kailangan mo. Again, the major difference between lottery and systematic sampling is yung process, pattern or system or order sa pagkuha ng respondents para sa ating study. And now, let us proceed to the third and fourth random sampling techniques na kadalasang ginagamit kapag medyo malaki na ang ating population. So, we have here the third random sampling technique, the stratified random sampling. When we talk about stratified random sampling, hinahati natin yung ating population into strata or groups. At sa paghati naman, we are basing it on the homogeneity. Kumbaga, may common characteristics na yung each group natin. Depende sa researchers kung anong klaseng characteristic basing on their study. Pwedeng according to age, gender, socioeconomic status, or highest educational attainment. Again, stratified random sampling, it has something to do with the strata or groups, homogeneity, or the common characteristics. Example, dito, kung napapansin nyo, this circle symbolizes our population. Halimbawa, pwede natin siyang hatiin when it comes to highest educational attainment. Yung isang group ay nakatapos ng elementary. Yung second group, nakatapos ng high school. Yung third group, college graduate. At yung pang-apat na group naman, nakatapos ng kanilang postgraduate programs. Now, when it comes to selecting the respondents, ang kagandahan lang sa stratified random sampling is there can be an equal representation kasi pwede kang pumili ng same amount of respondents from each group. And also, pwede rin tayo gumamit sa technique na ito ng proportional representation. Halimbawa, this is our population. Tapos, ang hati ng ating proportionality ay ganito. For example, this is our male respondents, while this is our female respondents. Kung mas marami ang ating female respondents kaysa sa male respondents, pwede tayong pumili ng mas maraming female respondents kumpara to the male respondents. Yung ganito, it can be 60% for female and 40% for male. Mahalaga lang sa stratified random sampling technique ay meron pa ring chance na mapili ang lahat ng members sa population from each group. Kaya, hindi basta-basta lang pumili ng respondents ang ating researchers, pwede silang gumamit ng lottery or pwede rin systematic. Kung napapansin nyo, mas matrabaho lang siya. Pero, kung importante ang proportionality at representation dun sa study ninyo, then ito yung sampling technique na pwedeng gamitin. And with that, let us proceed to the fourth random sampling technique. We have the cluster sampling. Itong cluster sampling ay tinatawag din natin area sampling. Again, cluster sampling is also called as area sampling. It has something to do with the geographical location. Sa cluster sampling naman, hinahati din natin yung ating population into group basing on their geographical location. Pwedeng gamitin ang cluster sampling kapag sobrang laki ng ating population. Halimbawa, kumukuha tayo ng data sa isang city, tapos ang city na yon ay may 4 na district. For example, this is our population that symbolizes the city or the population at hinahati natin siya into 4 na district. Yung city na yan ay may 4 na district. Tapos, yung researcher, pwede siyang bumunot or pumili between 1, 2, 3, and 4. In this case, napili niya yung 2. Kaya, dito siya sa 2nd district or district 2, kukuha ng sample na magre-represent ng kanyang buong population. Yan. Ang advantage nito ay yung ating researchers ay hindi na kailangang maglipat-lipat pa sa iba-ibang lugar. Hindi na nila kailangang lumipat pa from District 1 to District 2 to District 3 to District 4 kasi magfo-focus na lang sila sa isang lugar, isang area, or isang geographical location. Kasi nga, when it comes to sampling, malaking konsiderasyon yung time and resources na meron yung ating researchers. Kaya, ito yung mga considerations na kailangang isipin when it comes to picking sampling technique, specifically random sampling technique. Again, lahat ng methods na diniscuss natin as of now ay may probability or chance na involved. Kasi nga, random sampling techniques, every member has an equal chance to be selected or to be part of the sample. And that concludes our random sampling techniques. This time, let us proceed discussing non-random sampling techniques. When we talk about non-random sampling techniques, meaning not random, not. So not every member of the population has the equal chance of being selected. Now, kung sa random sampling ay umaasa tayo sa chance to get our sample, sa non-random sampling technique naman, mas merong hawak o may control yung ating mga researchers. Ibig sabihin, pwede silang pumili ng kanilang sariling choice para sa magiging respondents na kanilang study. This time, let us discuss the different non-random sampling techniques. First, we have accidental sampling. In accidental sampling, we are selecting a sample only those whom the researchers meet by chance. Ibig sabihin, kung nagkataon na nandun sa lugar at sa oras na ginagawa yung research, then mapipili ka as part of the sample. Accidental sampling is also known as opportunity or grab sampling. Ibig sabihin, tamang opportunity lang and then grab sampling. Ibig sabihin, kung sino yung nandun, kung sino yung pwede, kung sino yung na-meet by chance, sila yung maisasama sa research. Sila yung magiging part ng sample. And that is our accidental sampling. Second non-random sampling technique is convenience sampling. Convenience sampling is the most convenient and fastest sampling technique that make use of the telephone, mobile phones, or the internet. Kaya siya tinatawag na most convenient and fastest sampling technique because it has something to do with the internet connection, social media, and the use of gadgets. Now, in selecting the sample in convenience sampling, we select it based on the availability of the member and or proximity of the researchers. Ibig sabihin, pumipili tayo ng sample based on the availability of the members, kung sino-sino yung mga nagre-response ng chat, call, text, or emails, kung sino yung convenient, sila yung magiging part ng ating sample. Sila yung maisasama natin sa ating research. That is our convenience sampling. And now, let us proceed to the third non-random sampling technique. We have purposive sampling. From the word itself, purpose, samples are chosen based on the goals of the study, or samples are chosen based on the purpose of the study. Sa technique na ito, mas may control dito yung mga researchers. Pwedeng mapili yung ating respondents based on their knowledge of the study being conducted or based on their expertise of the study. Or if they satisfy the traits or conditions set by the researchers. Ibig sabihin, sa purposive sampling, may specific trait or may specific condition na set by the researchers. For example, kapag gumagawa ng study in the field of psychology, of course, pipiliin natin yung ating respondents na may knowledge of the field. Or in the other hand, kapag gumagawa tayo ng study in the field of business, of course, pipiliin natin yung mga respondents na manager or yung mga business owners kasi nga sila yung mas may alam sa field of business. And if you are talking about education, mas kakausapin natin yung mga principals, division superintendents, or yung mga taong meron ng mahabang experiences sa field of education kaysa sa mga teachers or mga bagong teachers. Kasi nga, we are basing on the goals or the purpose of the study. Kaya rin siya tinatawag na non-random kasi there are people na may knowledge or expertise pero may chance na hindi available o hindi makapaglaan ng oras para sa study ninyo. Another perspective when it comes to purposive sampling ay yung traits and conditions na kailangan para sa study natin. Halimbawa, meron kang research in science na ang concern mo lang ay specific na blood type. Kaya, yung blood type na yon, siya yung traits or condition na kailangan mo sa pagpili ng respondents. So, this type of sampling is very specific, kaya limited lang ang kanyang respondents na mapabilang sa study. And that is our purposive sampling. And with that, let us proceed to the fourth and last non-random sampling technique. We have the quota sampling. Quota sampling, it includes a specified number of persons of certain types to be taken as sample. Kaya siya tinatawag na quota kasi meron siyang required number of respondents. At sa pagkuha ng sample or respondents, mas may control na si researcher. Kaya pwede siyang gumamit ng non-random sampling technique such as accidental, convenience, or purposive para lang mapunuan or maabot kung ilan ba ang respondents na kailangan niya para sa study. And that is our quota sampling. And as we end this discussion, wala talagang isang pinakatama na sampling technique. Depende lang yon sa circumstances or sa resources ng ating researchers. And that ends our discussion for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, this is Teacher R, and I hope you learned something about statistics.